options in terms of strategies. A lot of it is just, it's what you see. What you see is what you get. But I will say there is a certain degree of tacticians towards attacks. I think if you're attacking side and you can have a really clean take, because I think a clean take on coastline is extremely difficult to do. If you manage to pull those off, you're a very impressive team. I think both these teams can do that, especially NIP. Whenever they have that advantage in the attacks, they're very dominant.
The ban's coming out here and now. Dokumi going to be getting removed along with the Thatcher.
You surprised with that Dokumi ban?
A little bit surprised by the Dokumi ban, I'll be honest with you. But then again, we often talk about coastline, how it is a map where the attackers can sort of release themselves from the shackles of the norm and take operators that otherwise you would see, you know, being less favourable than others on certain maps due to specific requirements.
So you don't need the hard breach, of course. That's the big thing.
See, we always say how you don't need the hard breach, and you don't, but we often see hard breach being used in very interesting and clever ways. It's more to cut off lines of sight than to actually gain access into the site. And that's the important distinction to make. You don't need hard breach to get in. You often just need hard breach to be able to just generate yet another line of sight.
There's like maybe 3 occasions that I could see hard breach being used. And that is, 1, if it's a hookah hold, the quad wall on bar. Second off would be if it's a sunrise hold, sauna.
Yep.
And the third one would be the kitchen storage wall. That would be it. That's the only time you really see hard breach. And even that's a bit of a push as well, which we don't see that all too often. Honestly, really only 2 ways.
What about VIP into Penthouse?
Oh, okay, yeah, well, that's another one. But then again, it depends where teams are going to be pushing from. Because if it's an Aqua take, you will see a full frontal assault just from Aqua. If we're looking at maybe comparison to FaZe, we've seen FaZe pressure that area very heavily.
Let's see how things shake down as we get ourselves in some interesting picks. Can we talk about the Rook for a moment, Demo?
I was going to actually mention about the Rook, and I'm thinking we might see some spawn peaks. That's what I'm thinking, right? Because Rook as an operator, the gadget is...
not required.
I personally think needs a little bit of love. Definitely needs a little bit of love. But Rook is the only defender outside of Maestro and Alibi, actually outside of Maestro, who, if you bring the shotgun with him, actually has a 2x. He's the only defender with a 2x on an SMG, which is pretty scary to deal with, as we know. If you have a long-range sight, it enables you to take those engagements against the attackers. It does feel like a very long time ago since we had nearly every heavy operator with an ACOG.
Oh, a million years ago, and especially on a map like this where that spawn peaks would be so prolific. Often a good way to get an advantage as a defender here is to try and get yourself a nice little early pick, because just so many angles can be gained by the attackers. The attackers need to take very little in terms of control to be able to immediately start cutting off rotates. You think of somewhere like the roof or basically any rappel that you can get yourself onto, you've usually got some good lines of sight. MIBR are not going to be wasting any time. They get themselves straight in here to Penthouse and look to open up and get into VIP as well, as the top floor hold is a little bit light here from NIP.
As my brain was working, perhaps maybe they're bringing the Rook. If people don't know what the gadget does, it actually gives you reduced damage against explosives. They're not picking up the Jaeger. They're not picking up the Wamai. They're severely lacking any projectiles. If they're going to try and play around it and think, oh, we'll just tank the explosives, then hey, fair enough.
It's a brave strategy because there is usually a lot of pressure on the Jaegers and ADSs and the Wamai discs on this map and this site in particular, because you are expecting a bit of a flood of utility, and there is that to be thrown at NIP here, as MIBR have brought a couple of stuns, a couple of smokes, and 2 nades. So those hotspots can be very easily naded out, especially, you know, you think you can throw a couple of grenades from the roof in through the vents, into the drone holes, and
cool vibes
already
there,
you're finding yourself some early damage.
Even the Aqua bar as well, you can toss one in through the vent. You see that quite a bit as well. But for MIBR, slow as it gets, I think they've found out that there is a man lurking below, which will be Julio, who tries a quick swing and finds the opening kill. Fal's not ready for him. Lucan, you have to be there to support your man. You have to try and get that refrag as Julio gets the kill ollie, but he's still stuck in a very bad position.
He's not going to be too disheartened as the C4 is going to get tossed on out, but I believe it did get destroyed. Felipox takes a good chunk of damage as well. The advantage here firmly with NIP after 2 opening kills there. It's not only removed Reduct, but it's removed the smokes on the Jackal as well. It's something we've often seen from MIBR to cut off lines of sight and assist them in getting that plant down. That's going to be something that's a lot harder to do here and now, as Raps, he's going to aggressively push on through, but Pino is there to take him on down. Lukid again, just going to be taking this Toxic Babe canister gas as he looks to push up here onto Vars, but he knows he's about to be swung. It's going to be a flawless here from NIP.
NIP, what a great way to start off Coastline. Right players in the right positions. I think MIBR losing that opening pick has really cost them. They don't have the Sophia for the utility, which we know. We've talked about the great pushes that you can have if everyone is working together and that utility just floods on in. Sophia, a big operator that you're missing out to have that utility. I think also the pick onto the Jackal, like you said, was very important, losing the smokes, which, looking at the way MIBR set up, they were actually attempting to push down that long corridor. You need the smoke grenades to cover off those sightlines and then move your way into bar. So, NIP, I think, just picking off the right players.
And of course, with those couple of opening kills as well, it just left MIBR a little bit light. Once again, they weren't able to put anyone on Tarps Rappel. They weren't able to put anybody on Hook Balcony, for example. And the trend continues. The trend that we saw start over on Consular of this opening pick going in NIP's favour. Now, on the defence, they were very good at taking advantage of that, and they managed to convert 3 of those rounds and come away with an equal split. MIBR need to do something about that, because it's a consistent theme now that they're really not able to get these kills out as trades. Because it's not only that we're seeing the opening pick go to NIP, it's that it's not traded. I think about Lukid in that round. He was playing the Ash. There was 2 occasions there where a player got taken out, one of his own, right next to him. And because of the pressure and because of the positioning, he wasn't able to actually get a frag back. He wasn't able to get it off as a trade.
Muzi, potential spawn peek perhaps, and that will look directly onto anyone moving up the stairs towards Ruins, but Reduct, instead of going right, he went left, and that has more or less saved his life. I don't want to Caster's Curse him here, I'm a little bit worried, as once again a potential peek coming in from Muzi, that time from the hookah window, but nobody from MIBR has fallen yet. NIP happy enough just to take this aggressive standpoint and a quick push in towards the kitchen. Oh, the cover comes in from Kamikaze. Pino is still alive. Now he's reloaded the weapon and can start spraying away. Can he land this kill? No, he cannot. There's too many players from MIBR. They flood in. They're cooking up a storm in the kitchen.
Psycho making a desperate rotation now. He's looking to get an angle, and he will get a chance. He gets the down over onto Reduct. Doesn't look to confirm it just yet, but will push his way on through. Pre-fires his way out, ensuring the safety and the advantage for NIP still. They sit at 4-3. Philippe Oak's desperately droning, trying to figure out exactly where the players have rotated on out to, but it was quite a sharp mission. They were in and then they were out. NIP have retreated, knowing that they don't need to hold too aggressively here. They've managed to thwart the attack for now, and it really is about MIBR and what they're able to bring, what they're able to push.
NIP have lost their kitchen control, but they have gained 2 kills for it. I think that's a good value trade. They've lost 1 player, they've lost the kitchen, but they have 2 kills to make up for it. MIBR, they've sacrificed a lot to gain that kitchen, and it is a strong position to hold into. It cuts off the bomb sites in 2 pretty much. You can have the access to stop anyone rotating down the Cool Vibe stairs. It gives you access then into the main courtyard, which will then give you access to the quad wall. So it is a good place for them to be, and as you can see, they have the rotations moving in, but they still have Raps ready to move in and trying to support the Defuser, who is now being killed. They do not have the Defuser in hand. They've lost their carrier, and now Fals and Raps have to make up for it.
A difficult situation to be in for sure. 2 versus 4 here, as Raps has recovered the Defuser. Can take a little bit of damage there onto Kamikaze. Fals is in a position, but again, nobody from the side of NIP needs to move. The angles that they are holding are going to be sufficient. A peek of a head is all that it's going to take. Psycho to fall, but the swing from Kamikaze, he was not wasting any time there. Muzi taking advantage of the chaos inside of Office, able to get the long-range kill all the way through into Sauna. NIP looking sharp here on the defense.
We might need to get someone in, Ollie. We might need a lip translator who can also understand Portuguese, because I would be very interested to actually hear some of the stuff. Psycho went on a bit of a rant there. Mouth didn't stop moving. But NIP giving it right back to MIBR. Both teams can take it. Both teams giving it back.
That was a beautiful kill from Fowls there on Psycho, but it just goes to show the detriment that you leave yourself in when you lose 2 men so early for control of Kitchen. As you said, it's valuable, it's nice to have.
Yeah, good area.
But it's not worth 2 people. It's not worth your Buck and your Ash. You've got to be able to get it a little bit cheaper. You need a discounted price there in terms of taking the Kitchen. Maybe a 1-for-1. I don't really like the 2-for-1.
Are we selling again? We back up to our old tricks?
Selling Kitchen Control.
Selling the Kitchen Control.
I mean, Kitchen Control is probably quite high in this. The price will be quite high for this. The Kitchen's the site.
Is the mortgage going up on it?
I think that...
What's the rates these days? What are we looking at?
It's the opposite of the dip. It's the rise.
What's the community like? Is it a safe community?
I believe so.
We're on an island. There's nobody here. Nobody lives here anymore. 50,000 people used to live here. Now look at it.
Let's see what MIBR are able to bring here. They're struggling to find success so far. NIP, on the contrary, have been able to pick up 2 very clean rounds. Few kills going in favour of MIBR. They've only managed to find 2 inside of the first 2 rounds. That isn't characteristic of them. It's not going to cut the mustard here on Coastline. An upstairs hold is going to be what NIP have brought us. They've got
I like this.
Pino's playing a Rooney. He's got the good old surrogates that he's going to be able to use to hold that top floor a little bit firmer. And of course the mechanical arm, the bionic punch for making those rotations.
So NIP have attempted to hold in towards the theatre and the bedroom. This is something that we see quite a lot, but the way that they've set it up, I love the addition of bringing in the Rooney, having the gates to try and delay out the utility, and there's the 2 quick kills already for both sides. And it will be a 4 versus 4. We're seeing the Sophia be killed off again, which has been quite a big operator that MIBR have relied on, and Julio tries his hand, but he himself gets shut down. Moves in the opposite end, finds 2 for himself. Oh my word, 5 players already killed off within the first minute, and another add-on to that. 6 people lie dead.
Much better here from MIBR in terms of trading out these opening engagements. They're getting themselves in the gunfights and they are winning them. Philippox with a long-range shot there all the way from Blue Bar into main lobby. Psycho with the trade. Over half the round remaining, and yet we find ourselves in the 1 versus 1. Philippox, he clutched out inordinately over on Coastline. Can he do it again? Yes, he can. He finds the frag onto Psycho. Philippox today, he's on another level.
What a bloodbath. No strats, nothing to analyze. They just walked in and got kills, just back and forth, back and forth. With inside the minute, 6 people were eliminated. Bodega giving it large again. That 1v1's going to do them well for their confidence. And MIBR respond. They have a round on the board, and now they can work off that. Now they can get a little bit aggressive.
It's a good job we've got these replays because there's no way on earth we were going to be able to see all of those kills that were going down. So many different angles that were being challenged. Muzi, the punishment from long range, it was responded to by Philippox, but I didn't realize that Pino had started things off with a jump out there, then been traded through the soft wall. Just such quick fire rounds. That's Coastline right there.
It is. And I think NIP, they're not afraid to have that kind of early aggression. They have the gunners to back it up. It's not as if it's a team who we sit there and think, oh, they struggle for kills. Is this the best way? You know, they're kind of grasping at straws. No. Like we said, Pino and Muzi, they're too good. And for them to have those jump outs, I'm not going to tell them they can't do that. Are you crazy? They can do what they want.
Maybe that's what Bodega's shouting.
I'm not going to say boo.
Maybe Bodega's shouting, don't do the jump outs. We're going to punish you on them. Back upstairs we go. Hooker and Billiards here. A site that was successful for NIP back in round number 1. With quite a disjointed push, I think it's fair to say, from MIBR. They lost 2 players really early.
Classic Canadian. Remember this? Bit of SI history for you, Ollie.
There's I mean, that's why I got excited when we saw the Rook, because I believe it was the Rook that actually was the operator Canadian was on at the time. It's kind of uncharacteristic, really, to see a LATAM player with anything other than the SMG-11, and yet both Kamikaze and Pino have opted for the sort of primary SMGs here, not bringing the shotguns.
Exactly, which is extremely strange that there's not a single shotgun. There is nothing that we're seeing. They're having to resort to impact grenades, and they've only made 2 rotates, one on top of Cool Vibe stairs and one that is your kind of typical connector between the bomb sites. But yeah, severe lack of soft destruction, but I mean, hey, they don't really need it. I mean, they have all they would want, and if they want to try and gun with the SMGs, of course the SMG-11, we've talked about how gifted LATAM is with that weapon, but there are some circumstances where the SMG can get the better off you sometimes.
I think you just need more ammo sometimes, don't you? Especially with the way these engagements are coming down. The drone work here from MIBR is thorough, and it's going to result in a kill onto Muzi. He's been shut down straight away, but they continue to trade on back and forth. We can barely get a perspective from a player that isn't dropping immediately or doing the dropping. Lukid finds the frag onto Pino. A 2 versus 2 yet again. Halfway through the round, Lukid's on fire. He picks up a triple. Julio has to make a rotation here up Cool Vibe stairs and shut down this push for Leapox. He's going to be getting the plant down. Pre-fires are coming in from both sides. Julio doesn't have much intel to work with. No C4 in hand, and the plant will be confirmed. Now, everybody knows that he's coming up these Cool Vibe stairs, but nobody on the side of MIBR willing to move just yet. Instead, looking to try and generate a crossfire. It's not even going to be required for Leapox. Comes in massive there with the final frag.
Whoa. Right. They need to calm down, because we can't keep up with this. We can't. There's too much to take in. I want to see these replays. That's what I want to see.
I feel sorry for the observers. I feel sorry for Medics and Easy.
Medics and Easy, they're great, but they're not. They can't do that. There's no way. This is, you have to like slow the rounds down to have the speed to keep up with what's happening. NIP and MIBR just swinging everything. Both teams are just trying to one-up each other. That's what it feels like. Anything you can do, I can do better.
We've regressed into the LATAM aggression stage, haven't we? You know, the strategy is there in sort of small amounts and small numbers, but we've gone toward much more calculated aggression and confidence in terms of winning gunfights. That's something to note going into this, is that these players are swinging for their lives. They are not swinging to die. They're going, I know where he is, and I know that the frag's going to be coming on through. The trades inside of that round were incredible. Almost all the kills there coming out as trades.
One kill happens right after a kill for the other team. Just back and forth right along until the final few moments where MIBR eventually got that diffuser down. And you're asking a lot from Giolio, that 1 versus 2, especially pushing up Cool Vibes. It's a tough one. And that comes back to my point about the kind of one-way system. These engagements are easily predicted. That's why we're seeing such a slaughterhouse now between both of them. It's because the routes that both teams are taking, they know. You know, they know each other inside and out.
How often is Felipox alive in the final stages as well?
He's played really well.
The clutch factor that he is bringing to the table now, and you know, that last round wasn't particularly a clutch from MIBR. They were 2 versus 1 in that situation. They're expected to win that one. The clutch element is on Julio, but still, Felipox performing in those important moments.
I thought Luca did really well that last round. Him being able to just enter into the bomb site and having that foothold for his team. And I mean, this is a map that you expect someone of this talent with that raw mechanical gun skill he has. This is one that he is definitely going to top frag on, 100%.
And up here are going to stick to their rotation. They're going to go downstairs to Blue Bar and Sunrise. Rita going to be bringing the Nomad this time. That could be quite influential here. We've seen jump outs from NIP so far. We've seen some aggression. It's just going to cut that off a little bit. It's going to give them something to worry about, because so far movement has been very free from both sides. There's been nothing really restricting the rotation. Julio opens things up this time with a C4 onto Reduct, so hopefully he placed all the air jabs out.
Aquabalk.
Instantly denied.
Yeah, so that's a good C4 kill to open up for NIP, and like you mentioned, Nomad to try and give MIBR a bit more control over NIP in this aggressive maneuver that they're trying to pull off. And there goes the pre-fires again. NIP just know the angles that they need to hunt for, and they still have this top floor control. Luca, though, has moved himself in towards Billards, and now he's in a great position to try and net a few kills if he can. And there is a man inside of Hooky. He does not spot him out, though, and this could be poor from MIBR if they haven't done their research. And no, they haven't. Muzi finds the kill. How has he been able to play in this position without being spotted out? And he's still alive and kicking. He's still going as hard as he can, but Felipox pushes him over the edge. And NIP, they've lost the upstairs control, but they still bagged 2 kills from it.
Still not clear cut here for either side, as the round does hang in a balance. With this upstairs control, Raps can start to open up the floor and exploit some of these angles. Felipo's going to look to try and pressure in onto Blue. Needs to be mindful of the window that Psycho will be playing inside of Sunrise, as there is a nice angle that can be found through there. For a time being, it's droning is going to be the order of the day as final bits of information are gathered here. Still plenty of drones alive for MIBR for them to do so with, but time is what is going to be dwindling. 20 seconds on the clock and still a push to materialize. Rap's going to be looking to try and find some success. He gets a glimpse of a head there, but Julio is just better. A quick double peek. We'll see Rap's fall. He's now able to pre-fire onto players that are going to be pushing in through blue as the plant is being attempted, but it is likely going to be stopped. Only 5 seconds remain here. Kamikaze does what he needs to do, finding those final two, and NIP respond.
A little bit shaky from the MP5 there. The movement was moving side to side, not landing any shots, but they had the man advantage. They were able to clean up house, and NIP respond. Holly, I don't know where this is going to go. I really do not know how this is going to take a turn. 3-2, final round for both sides. In terms of side switch, I don't know who to favor. It's just one of those games, and I'm really happy to say that this has been an invite where no one has been able to call what's happening at all.
I mean, Milosh got all of his predictions right yesterday, and he tossed a coin for all of them. Videos on Twitter.
The fact that he got them all right off a coin toss, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. He can't predict them. He has to use a coin toss. That just shows. Tournament's been so good, you know? APAC putting up fights, EU being knocked out, NA, last hope, just... If you're a fan of this game and a fan of the community, I hope you're enjoying yourself as much as I am.
And a good old-fashioned LATAM derby here inside of the winners bracket final to decide who will go through tomorrow to our grand final with a one-map advantage into the best of 5 that will decide who is going to lift that hammer. So, MIBR struggling a little bit now as we move into round number 6. Raps, who had some big moments inside a Consulate. Ollie not having the greatest of games so far. We need to see a little bit more from him. Maybe if he steps up to the plate. 1 kill here, 2 kills there. Could be a big momentum swing. Pino going to be looking for a spawn peek again. I think he's looked for it pretty much every single round. We can see from the silhouette outline and the observer view that there's going to be no one spawning in that direction. Instead, it's going to be a main entrance spawn with everybody getting themselves upstairs onto the roof nice and safely. I think the focus here for MIBR, they really want to try and end on a 3-3 split. That's how we saw Consulate end. There was no clear advantage between the two sides. Gemini just going to gather some intel there in Penthouse and Theatre, be able to call it all as clear. That's now going to allow Lukid to aggressively push on through. Already getting himself on to 90.
Here comes the push now from MIBR, setting up to try and enable their beachhead, which seems to be in towards that VIP, which is expected, I think, for how they played so far. We've seen them like to pressure that long corridor, try and utilize smoke grenades and cover off different areas, but they're lacking the smokes this time around. They're not going to try and set up for that same attack. They're more than likely going to open up that angle that then kind of separates the two bomb sites in through VIP and then wrap around for that aqua take. So it is pretty atypical, nothing too crazy for MIBR. And because it is a site that you expect this is how the attack's going to plan out, NIP should be ready for that.
It's probably one of the more typical rounds that we've seen play out here. There's actually focus on maybe trying to get this diffuser down, heaven forbid, which isn't something that we've seen be a focus yet from MIBR inside of this map. Floor going to be open there. It's going to give Julio a nice line of sight. Psycho, he's going to take down Fowls from that balcony area. As you can see, Fowls just behind on the sofa. Kamikaze going to double down on it as well with a kill onto Lukid and a second over onto Raps. As quickly as it started, it was all over. A flawless for NIP. They're going to finish at a 4-2 split this time.
Another round where kills just out of nowhere, and give me the replays. I need to see the replays on. I need to paint that picture in my mind, how everything went down, because NIP just come out swinging. I assume they just caught MIBR by surprise. MIBR were just about ready to go for the take, but then all of a sudden NIP catch them at the right moment and 5 kills out of nowhere.
Again, we saw a lack of pressure on Hooker Balcony, and it's something that we commented on last time we saw MIBR trying to attack onto this. You know, it's not good enough to come in from this base area. 2 easy kills there for Kamikaze. Make it 3 as he finds the second on the swing. 1 person, that was all it was, Redux, that was pressuring onto that Hooker Balcony, and even then, it was too late. Where's your player on double window?
They're bringing the buck, but they're not utilizing the soft destruction from below. Sunrise is something NIP don't care about. They'll let anyone have it. Let anyone have blue bar. Why are we not seeing the operator selection of the buck being used?
A big difference maker here already that we're going to see in the lineups and the way that things are being brought. There was a lack of hard destruction there on the side of MIBR. All it takes, and it's something we commented on, hard breach isn't a requirement, it's a nice to have to open up lines of sight. Get that quad wall open. Stop Kamikaze from being able to play behind there in that sofa area, and he's not going to be able to swing and find kills for fun and for free. Already, Kamikaze going to be playing that Hibana here and now. Could be a bit of an edge for NIP.
See the Capitao be brought by Julio, an operator that NIP are pretty fond of. It's definitely one that they like to utilize and play around with different pocket strategies and help them for that final execution. Maybe it's an operator that MIBR should have looked towards. We've seen how much issues a player behind that bar inside of Billards caused them. Perhaps that could have been their option, but it is what it is. They lost their attack 4-2, but now they have a chance to turn it around on the defense. One half is one thing, the second half is a completely different one. Let's see how they play it out. Kitchen, their first bomb site, holding in towards the top floor. No surprise, the pressure's on NIP. How will they cope with that? Should be pretty easy. I mean, the Capitao bolts could be a great option to clear out anyone's side of fear, which, as you can see, we have the Capitao on the single window beside the staircase. You could fire in a bolt to stop that guy pushing out and cover off his rotation.
Already we're seeing the X-Karos used this time. Fleetbox did bring it, but he just didn't seem to deploy it in the right areas.
They're gone.
Kamikaze not afraid to force these defenders out, as we can see them scurry down through security. Top floor pretty much surrendered at this moment in time toward NIP. But again, one of the slower rounds that we've seen develop. We're at the halfway point now. Fleetbox may be threatening with a C4, perhaps just waiting for some more footsteps or a little bit of intel to come through. Oh, this could be big, Demo.
Double flank. One of them actually going to splinter off and try and move his way around towards luggage. As we know, NIP have that top floor, and they're going to try and hold on to it as long as they can. But MIBR just patient as it comes, waiting to see if anyone wants to try and challenge them. Of course, they have the destruction from the sledge, and Pino can move in and start opening up all these different angles, and Kitchen is a very difficult bomb site to hold if you're in the bomb site. It's very similar to what we see on a map like Cafe, where Kitchen, just so much vertical action comes in, and it's so difficult to really stick your neck in and try and stop diffusers going down.
I'm not sure if Luke got misdroned a little bit earlier on, but it looks as though we're going to be framing up for a plant regardless. Pino with the frag grenade down, it's going to force Fowls to move. He's no longer able to play back. He's going to play all out and aggressive. A rotation here from both Redux and Luke as they now look to try and retake onto this top floor. Find one over onto Muzi. The shotgun at close range for Fowls is going to see Kamikaze down, as the diffuser will be cold now. It's down to Psycho to recover that, and with only 20 seconds left, something has to happen here for NIP, but Fowls playing aggressively onto that service door, able to make the shotgun sing and find the frags. Julio, he's the last man standing. Lukid with the swing. MIBR there come out on defense quite differently to the way that we saw them finish their attacks.
Massive performance from Fowls. In that scenario, he's a dead man walking. He should have been killed off immediately. They knew he was there. They went for a nade for that reason. He tanks the nade, and then what does he do, Wally? Right back in the same position, knowing that they have no utility left to get rid of him. And from there, the shotgun at that range, no chance for NIP. Fowls, the man for me who won that round.
Fight or flight really kicks in there, and you can see, you know, do you go forward and play aggressively on the door, get yourself up onto the table and try and find the angles, or do you retreat on back? Fowls chose the first option, and he was rewarded for it. Able to pick up a couple of those really important kills. The rotation as well. I'm pretty sure that Luke had got misdroned inside of Aqua. We saw the drone come by his feet. He's on the vigil. If he's activated his cloak, if he's activated his device, sure, that's brilliant. And the drone hasn't called it out. He's thought that the vigil was vertical, maybe downstairs in office, playing down there, maybe in security. You know, it's difficult to tell. Using the operator there perfectly, have been able to come up with Redux and pick up those couple of vertical kills. Took the pressure off Fowls as well. For all Fowls is able to play there on that door with the shotgun at close range, that's an angle that can be found vertically. So it's just alleviated a little bit of that pressure there.
Operator from Lukid, an interesting one. The Oryx is going to see a bit of play time. We have seen this at the Six Invitational during the course of our past 2 weeks, and memory serves right, Ollie, it was NIP who actually featured it quite a bit on Villa whenever they were playing it, and they actually excelled in the Oryx pick, being able to utilize the ability of jumping up hatches, which, as we know, on a map which does rely very heavily on a roam presence and the flanks, as I think MIBR already shown us, this could be an important pick for them. It will be in towards the Blue Bronze Sunrise. How much value are we going to say of the Oryx? Not too many areas I can really think of that I could say, yeah, the hatch, this is the one he's going to go for. I don't know how I feel about it. Not too sold on it.
It's a flashy play, isn't it? And it's something that it's exciting to watch, but how practical is it? I think that's the big question to bring to Oryx is, you know, are you going to be able to make that hero play through the hatch, or is it just going to be, you know, make rotations a little bit quicker, just be able to run and have that burst of energy? You know, obviously you can run through the soft walls and make the rotations that way as well, but I'm thinking more about movement and how quickly you can rotate around, because it's something that we saw MIBR willing to do, is make those late flanks. Maybe that's what Luka is going to be going for here.
Only thing I could think of is perhaps move into lobby and jumps up in through the bedroom hatch. That will give him a potential of flanking in through VIP, avoiding the Nomads, which I'm sure is probably holding that staircase, which is going to be the case. And Julio has actually let a man slip past. Never mind. He comes back downstairs. Raps is still alive, but he should have been dead. He should be a dead man right now. And Julio just costing his team there with that single kill. It's quite an important one. That first pick for NIP, we hark on about it way too often, Ollie, but it rings true.
It really does. Fowls is going to get drawn there at the bottom of Cool Vibes. Maybe look to try and push, but instead, in typical Fowls fashion, is just going to hold the angle close with the shotgun. Pino trying to find the vertical, but unable to do so for the time being. It's all going to allow Fowls time to rotate on out. He has had to exit the site, though. He's going to be feeling the pinch of that, as there isn't a lot of presence currently from these defenders in the site. A beautifully timed nade there from Muzi, working off the back of that information. Raps, he lives to fight another day, and he has actually taken down the Nomad after their opening exchange. Control of the site is in the hands of NIP, however. C4 is going to be threatened as Redux is going to be on the flank. Upstairs finds himself a frag. Raps will fall as Muzi is going to be on for a double. The diffuser has been planted, and MIBR need to try and retake this.
MIBR, a big ask for you. I know it's going to be an even bigger one now as Kamikaze behind the bomb chassis finds Fowls. And now it's going to be a 1 versus 3. Never mind, a 0 versus 3. NIP able to hold on to that one, and they respond, Ollie. A great attack. That's what we expect from NIP. Your classic sunrise in towards the top floor, open up the vertical angles, and from there the plant goes down. No chance for a retake.
There was some magical coordination there as well. That grenade kill, I think, back to where Fowls was getting caught out at the bottom of Cool Vibe stairs. He was into kitchen. He just didn't have anywhere to go. That information on the side of NIP really coming through for them. And it's enough for a 5-3 scoreline here for them as well. The roam just wasn't sufficient. I don't think we saw enough out of the Oryx, for example. You trade that Oryx out for something else. You trade it for, you know, another C4 or just something that's going to give you a little bit more value in the site.
Information, maybe?
Any sort of information. That was what won the round there for NIP.
Yeah, Oryx pick not working. Didn't see it highlighted at all. It was just someone who had a gun and died. That was it. There wasn't really much to it. I mean, we seen the Melusi flank. Shouldn't that be the Oryx being doing that job? Strange. But they've sacked it off. They've realized that, hey, that didn't really work. Let's go for something else. I've actually seen an alibi now as well. MIBR are not afraid to push the boat out on operators that are very niche in playstyle. But one thing that I will say about Alibi is you do get a bunch of benefits. The only downside for me is the gadget. I don't think it's the strongest thing. Sure, you might be able to set up on like a window, and if someone shuts the window, you get a ping. Yeah, but in reality, it's not that strong. What you do get, Ollie, you get a shotgun, you get a deployable shield, and you get an extremely strong SMG in the MX4 Storm.
Yep, the MX4 Storm, super fast fire rate, can really start to shred through your opponent, as you say, the Bailiff secondary.
Look at
shotgun.
that. Why have they reinforced the rotate onto Cool Vibes? That is very, very risky from MIBR. My initial thought would be they're going to be playing very heavily below and looking for C4s, almost trying to bait in NIP to look at the bomb site and think, oh, hey, they've reinforced this wall. We can run in and plant behind the hookah lounge. But if that is the go-to for NIP, they will be C4'd from below.
There's only one C4 in the hands of Redux, so Not a strategy that you really want to dig too deep into.
Don't know about this one. I'm not feeling confident for MIBR.
We'll have to see how NIP approach this. They're going to be solving this problem. Muzi going to be on the rappel. It's a powerful angle on that double window. You can really start to cut the bomb site in two there. You just do, of course, run the risk of being run out from. This team are going to look to try and support him there, playing that angle. This is where NIP spend a lot of their time, is in the mid-round, gathering that intel and framing up their push.
Muzi, double window, great position to be in. Cover off anyone trying to rush in towards Billards, and I think NIP have realized and looked at the setup and thought, hey, they've reinforced this wall, we can easily walk in, and the nades start ringing fire. Reduct is eliminated. This is a great setup from NIP, and the diffuser's going down in the midst of that. And MIBR, they've been costed. That wall being reinforced has gave NIP the green light to move in and get that diffuser down, and it has to be a retake. Kamikaze somehow still alive, and he's on his belly, fighting for everything he can, but 2 quick kills from MIBR has equaled things up in a 3 versus 3. Muzi off the rotate now. He's going to try and flank around towards the hookah balcony, hold down that diffuser, which is currently being stuck by Raps. Can he get this diffused down? Julio has to rush in. The diffuser has came off, and now it's going to be very scrappy, and NIP just have to sit and wait the pressure on MIBR, and it's too much for them. Lukid gets eliminated. NIP seeing the weaknesses from MIBR and successfully getting that diffuse down. Ollie, I just have to come back to it again. Why are those walls reinforced? Why?
Not only reinforced, but we saw a surrogate placed on one as well, albeit not the rotation panel that would typically be open. But it wasn't as if there was anything then beyond that. I don't know if they were trying to, as you say, play the C4 from below. It just seemed odd. You could even see there was a small moment there with Fowles' movement that he went to go through the rotation through, you know, hundreds and thousands of hours of habit of moving through siege maps. He went to go through the rotation. Was like, yeah, it's reinforced.
They put a laser gate on the reinforced wall to, I assume, stop that angle being opened up, right? Usually, that's like a strong reinforcement. If you have the rotation all open, it's kind of like your cover. Most teams would try and open it up. Yeah, fair enough. But the thing is NIP would never open that wall up if they see there isn't a rotation, because that's their golden ticket. That's their opportunity. Nothing can kill them. The only angle that they can die from is either from the bomb site, which they cleared out, from the double window, or a simple long angle from the bar, which again, they covered because they had somebody on the window. That was so easy for NIP. So easy.
It's enough to put NIP onto a match point as well.
My mind's been bottled.
Well, I think that the guys on the side of MIBR are going to be left wondering as well after that round. Their plan clearly not paying dividends or working out for them. NIP on a map point. If they win here, it's enough to take us all the way to Clubhouse. So far, everything really going in their favor. MIBR need to come up with something pretty substantial to grab 3 rounds and take it to an overtime. With the way that we've seen NIP playing, they've certainly tempered their emotions a little bit as well. It's been a lot quieter here inside of the arena. We've not seen as much shouting. Even from the times when NIP win, it's nothing above the norm, really. Not like we were seeing in map number 1. So obviously getting themselves ready for the long haul here, and they've firmly got Clubhouse in their sights.
I think NIP just trying to keep the emotions under check. You know, it's much more timid inside of the arena. We'll see if NIP can take us to map number 3, and Tim would be right in that assumption. He wants map number 3. He may be able to get it unless MIBR can pull off 3 great defenses. Now, still potential to do so, but they have to start good on the kitchen defense. Muzi fires an 8 in. Fowles takes a little bit of shrapnel, but nothing to worry about, and a second one as well, but nobody's home. Fowles been able to rotate away. So NIP losing out on the utility that they probably would want to have. I mean, I would have sent, personally, my Muzi, at least I don't own him, but I would have sent Muzi over to try and eliminate that deployable shield, because that will cause them issues now.
Again, a signature slow take from NIP as they get all the ducks in a row before looking to try and advance on in. There's a nice line of sight there being held by Philippox with the bottom of that wall open. It gives a really good angle into anybody pushing in is looking to try and get a plant down. We're seeing Toxic Babe canisters go off. We hear an air jab ping in the distance as well as a defender does get caught out there on a rotation. Vals has seen some damage as the smoke. He has 2 Toxic Babe canisters left and is looking to deploy them on that doorway. He played aggressively previously on the doorway and was able to gain some success with the shotgun. Kamikaze, a stun and a swing, but it won't result in anything for now.
5-5, this is setting up to be a typical NIP take, but how clean can they execute? Looks as if they have a rotate. Now over towards Sunrise and trying to target another area is the Iana clone. No, it has spotted him out, and now that's good information. Reduct, it's fake, and a bit of a stare down as well from Reduct, realizing that he has been baited out by the Gemini. But on the other end of it, NIP have struggled. MIBR have picked up 2 kills for their troubles, and Kamikaze trying his best to force his way through. Drops to the belly. It is going to be the smoke, and Files eliminates Kamikaze. A 2 versus 5, and Muzi tries his best, but not going to be close enough to it. And Julio stuck in the clutch scenario, and that's going to be a difficult one for him to deal with. 5 seconds to go, and still 5 players up for MIBR. They respond, Ollie. A good round from MIBR, just to settle the nerves, and 2 rounds away from overtime.
It's a start here for MIBR, the start of the comeback potentially. Don't forget, if they take this map, they advance into the grand final with a 1-map advantage. This is huge right here and now for these guys. Every round here means so much to both of these sides. Now, we saw Bodega pull the microphone down there. We've just got confirmation. MIBR have taken their tactical timeout now. It's a great time to use it, in my opinion. You know, they've just picked up a round. They're off the back of some positive feedback. You know, they've just done really well there. It was a flawless as well. There was a down that came in the dying few seconds, but it was never going to result in anything. Julio was never going to be able to clutch that round out for his team. Great time to use the tactical timeout here. Give the guys the words of wisdom, Bodega. I'm sure that's what he's doing now.
Bodega, like I said, positive reinforcement, being able to tell them what worked well for them in that round, and probably tell them what has been going bad for them previously. This will help them try and decide what lineup they want to pick in terms of operators, what bomb site they want to go to. So it is a good moment. This also gives NIP, a little bit of time to talk amongst themselves also. Keep in mind the timeouts, they work for both sides.
Yep. Mighty with the mic down there, able to give the team some words of encouragement. As the microphones go up, the timeout is over and we can continue now with Coastline. Still a map point for NIP. If they win this, they take us to Clubhouse and we go all the darn way. However, MIBR have just come back with a round, and it was a round that they really needed, not just because it's match point for NIP, but things haven't really been going MIBR's way here. They've struggled somewhat. They've been able to pick up only a couple of rounds on both sides so far. Looking to double down here and find some success, as they really desperately need it. Blue Bar and Sunrise is going to be the chosen location here for MIBR. We've seen slow rounds from NIP. Now, it's unusual when they've got such a map buffer, but we've seen them lose these buffers and these leads that they've had before, and it then comes down to the wire. We then find ourselves into an overtime. They still can't afford to rest on their laurels here.
It is strange to see NIP still be very slow on a map like Coastline. It's an aggressive map. It's a fast-paced one. NIP showed us how fast they can play on the defense. Why can't they bring that same level to the attacking phase?
You know, you think back to some of the hyper-aggressive rounds we had in the first part of this game. I think it was round number 3 off the top of my head that was the crazy one, but it was certainly early on. And we thought, oh, you know, NIP are up for it here. They're taking this as like a really aggressive firefight. And then, yeah, as the map progresses and as they develop, and particularly as they get onto their attacks, we just see that pace knocked out of it. We see it slow down to sometimes almost a halt. And that isn't what NIP need here.
NIP, looking at their take, seems to be a top floor clear. Also trying to target in towards bedroom. As expected, MIBR in towards the hookah lounge and billiards, holding above Sunrise and Blue Bar for as long as they can. And I imagine NIP will just take their time once again and have to be careful as Fouls. Oh, he's unlucky not to get a kill, just panics a little bit. Wild fires the SMG and Pino loses half his HP for it, but should have lost, I think, the other half as well.
He still deals a chunk of damage there onto Pino outside on the rappel, not aware of anybody downstairs inside of Sauna. You got Julio watching that as well, so it's unusual really that we saw Fouls in a position to be able to deal just so much damage and have the chance at gaining himself a frag. Psycho going to be getting droned down these main stairs now. Raps is going to be called out and retreats on into security. Not looking to take any unnecessary firefights here. Psycho has pretty much got that top floor control. Redux is going to be surviving for a little bit longer here as some of the magnets are actually going to catch those firebolts from Capital.
That's all his bolts as well. No more fire to play with for NIP. They're going to have to find another avenue to root out that player, and that position is so difficult to deal with. One nade still left for Pino. He's going to have to make it count and eliminate this man behind the bomb chassis, and he does! That's a great nade, and NIP needed that one. A 4 versus 4. Lukid still managed to find the opening pick. Let's see if MIBR can hold on to this one without the lack of Reduct holding down the fort.
They still have Fouls and they still have 2 Toxic Babe canisters to deploy, and with 30 seconds left, that's going to do a lot to deny the access here for NIP. You can hear that canister go on out as Kamikaze takes some damage, but he is going to be sticking at that plant, looking to try and get it down under the cover of Psycho as he takes down Fouls, as Fouls looks to move on into a position. This could be it here for NIP. The kills, they keep on coming. Lukid, he's one shot. He's going to be on the Cool Vibe stairs, desperately trying to search out an angle to hold, but there is nobody that's looking to try and push him. This post plant has been considered and it has been set up beautifully. Muzi does get himself down and out. Raps with the comeback, finds a triple. It's all down to Julio in 20 seconds. We will decide whether NIP advance or not here and take us to Clubhouse. He has to push on through aggressively. Julio goes for the swing. He makes it happen. NIP, they take Coastline here. We are going guaranteed to all 3 maps.
Julio, the rock for NIP, has always been that player that they look towards in moments of need, and he shows up again to keep his team in this series. 1-1 on the map count. One more map to go though, Ollie. We're not done yet. It's only starting to begin.
We are by far from done here, Demo. I guess we should have all really listened to Ace. Ace, the Latam big brain, he said we were going to all 3.
He looks in the mirror, the crystal ball works.
He knew